The Haunted Gateway, revealing 7 sinister tales of the cursed and unexplained. Sarah clenched her daughter's hand as they walked towards their new home, a dilapidated relic that seemed to sag under the weight of its own memories. Whitley Falls loomed around them, a town with a dark cloud of whispers hanging thick in the air. The ink-black shadows crept closer as dusk set in, wrapping the streets in an unnerving blanket. The neighbors watched from their porches, their smiles too wide, their eyes too cold. Chilled to the bone, Sarah glanced over her shoulder, an instinct ripping through her, a primal urge to flee. As Sarah settled into their creaking, ancient house, day turned to night. The eerie sounds beneath the floorboards began as faint echoes, muffled voices seeping through the walls like a ghost in distress. Her pulse quickened. Mia, her 15-year-old daughter, paced around the room silently, her withdrawn demeanor gnawing at Sarah's heart. The chaotic life in the city felt like a distant nightmare. She wanted to provide a haven, but each night brought palpable tension, as if the very walls held secrets darker than the night itself. Then came the night she first heard the laughter. It swept through the halls like icy fingers, clawing at her sanity. Sarah seized a lamp, heart racing, ears straining for clarity. The laughter faded, swallowed by silence. A deep-seated terror rooted itself in her chest. They were not alone. The neighbors, always present, lingered in the corners of her sight, as if absorbing her every move. The false comfort of small-town charm turned sour. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Then Mia met Jacob, and his presence was a wake-up call, both thrilling and terrifying. He spoke of the hidden legends of their town, the cursed whispers echoing stories of a gateway that once linked them to realms beyond. Her daughter was drawn to him like a moth to a flame, while Sarah's heart sank. The tales were chilling, steeped in shadows, a sacrifice to keep the darkness at bay. Each story struck her like a drum, an urgent chant thumping in her head. As Sarah unearthed town records, her fingers trembled. Disappearances, strange phenomena, each tale seemed to warn her just as much as her instincts did. An inexplicable chill enveloped their home, shadowy figures darting at the periphery of her vision became too frequent to dismiss. The creeping dread twisted her gut tighter. One fateful night, Sarah woke up to a cold whisper wrapping around her name like a shroud. Panic surged through her veins as she dashed to Mia's room, only to find it empty. Her heart stopped as she saw the note splayed on her bed, the words etched in a scrawl she didn't recognize: "She belongs to us now." Every hair on her body stood on end as the door slammed shut behind her, sealing her in. She could feel the shadows closing in, the air thick with a malevolent joy. Was her daughter lost to the abyss? As the house creaked and groaned with anticipation, Sarah steeled herself for the fight against the darkness that threatened to rip away the only love she had left. Outside the house, the town stood still, waiting, watching. What curse had she unleashed, and could she ever escape? Sarah's heart raced, the note an unwelcome prophecy etched into her mind. Panic clawed at her throat as she pushed against the door, but it wouldn't budge. The shadows seemed to murmur, swirling around her like ghosts mocking her fear. "Mia!" she cried, voice cracking, desperation flooding her veins. No answer came, just silence, heavy and laden. The room felt smaller, suffocating. Each tick of the clock echoed, amplifying her dread. "Where are you?" The walls of the house appeared to close in on her as she pounded against the door, her fists screaming for release. She sank to the floor, breath hitching as she pressed her ear against the wood, straining for any sound. A flicker of movement caught her eye. There, a shadow darted in the corner, quick and silent. "Get a grip, Sarah," she whispered to herself, but the words offered little comfort. She turned her mind back to the note. "She belongs to us now." The eerie phrase repeated, wrapping around her thoughts like a serpent tightening its hold. Who were they? What did they want with her daughter? Then she remembered Mia's fascination with Jacob's stories. The gateway. The town's legends wove a tapestry of darkness, sacrifices made, promises sealed, losses engraved in the town's history. Had her daughter somehow become a part of it? She couldn't ignore the feeling, a sickening dread crawling up her back, whispering that the tales were not just tales, they were warnings. With determination surging, she finally found the strength to roll the door back, jumping back as it swung open with a creak that echoed like a thunderclap. She stepped into the hallway, shadows clinging to her like a second skin. The air shifted, colder now, carrying with it a scent that prickled her senses, something sweet yet rotten. She moved ahead, guiding herself through the gloom, each creak of the floorboards beneath her echoing through the darkness like a heartbeat. Mia! Her voice rang out, swallowed by the oppressive silence. Each call became less confident, wavering with the sinking feeling that the house was alive, aware of her every movement. A chill coursed down her spine when she recalled Jacob's warnings of the hidden places in town. Places where the veil between worlds was thin. As she approached the living room, a flicker of light caught her eye. Someone, or something, was in there. She paused, breath caught in her throat. Voices floated through the air, laughter, soft and taunting, dancing like a wisp around her senses. She edged towards the doorway, her heart pounding louder than the voices. Peering inside, the sight made her gut twist. The room was illuminated by an otherworldly glow, and there, in the middle, stood Mia with Jacob. The boy had an unsettling smile plastered on his face, his eyes hauntingly bright. They were drawing something on the floor, intricate lines spiraling outwards, pulsating with a life of their own. Mia! Sarah gasped, stepping through the threshold. The glow rippled, and the laughter stopped. Both turned, and in that moment, the air crackled with a tension that seized her heart. Mia didn't look scared, she looked entranced, as if under a spell. Mom! Her daughter's voice held a strange mix of joy and something darker. Jacob's smile widened, and Sarah had never seen a grin that deepened in unease so stark. Join us, he said softly, the invitation laced with a promise or a threat. The atmosphere pulsed with an unseen energy, and Sarah felt the walls around her tighten, closing in. She knew, in her core, that whatever they were summoning, it would require a sacrifice, and she would have to uncover the depths of this nightmare to save her daughter. Would she stand against the darkness that threatened to consume them? Or surrender to the unholy waltz of shadows that awaited just beyond her reach? The lights flickered ominously, and Sarah could feel the ground shaking beneath her. What had she unleashed, and were they ready to accept the price? The glow intensified, bathing the room in a haunting light that cast long shadows, twisting them against the walls. Sarah's pulse quickened, an animal instinct clawing at her chest, urging her to flee. But her legs felt rooted to the floor, trapped in a waking nightmare. Mia! She shouted again, the words sliding from her lips like ice. Her gaze locked onto her daughter, who remained mesmerized, eyes wide and gleaming, her small hands dancing over the strange symbols sprawled across the floor. Each stroke seemed to awaken the air around them, thickening it, charging it with something otherworldly. Join us, Jacob repeated, his voice dripping with an unsettling sweetness. It's beautiful here. Sarah shook her head, fighting against the pull of his unsettling allure. Mia, listen to me. You have to come back. Mia frowned, confusion flickering over her features but quickly replaced by a calm that terrified Sarah. But, Mom, I'm happy. She stepped closer to the circle, fully immersed in the energy that thrummed in the air, her laughter mingling with the flickering light. A voice, low and churning, slithered through the room. Come play with us. Forever and ever. The words resonated in Sarah's bones, a chilling echo that made her tremble. In a surge of fear, she lunged forward, breaking the spell Jacob seemed to cast. No! No more! But as she reached to grab Mia, a wall of icy air slammed into her. It was as if the very house rebelled against her, pulling her back, cocooning her in despair. Mia! The desperation clawed at her throat. Serpentine shadows writhed in response, swirling around Jacob, who laughed, a sound that made her stomach turn. You can't take her from us. She's ours. The symbols on the floor glowed brighter, pulsating rhythmically as if they had a heartbeat. The energy engulfed Sarah, carrying whispers, endless and seductive, wrapping around her mind like a silken shroud. Join us, Sarah, they beckoned. Become one with the darkness. No! With a primal scream, she mustered every ounce of strength. She charged at the swirling mass of light, throwing herself into the center of the energy that had claimed her daughter. As her hands made contact with the symbols, a shock traveled up her arms, igniting her with pain and dread. Suddenly, the air exploded with sound, a deafening cacophony of screams, laughter, and darkness roaring to life. The glow flickered, convulsing wildly, and for an instant, the room cast off its eerie grip. "MOM." Mia's voice cut through the chaos, raw and filled with terror. Sarah's heart surged with hope as she looked into her daughter's eyes, the light dimming there, a flicker of the little girl she knew returning. It thundered around them, the room shuddering as the shadows found new energy, spiraling outward, trying to reclaim their prize. "Fight it, Mia! Come back to me!" She reached through the storm of darkness, fingers stretching just out of reach. "MOM! Help me!" Panic erupted in Mia's voice. Suddenly, a shift in the air. The symbols crackled, the shadows flared, and a figure began to form behind Jacob, cloaked in darkness. It hovered, its presence heavy, deadened, a looming specter that brought silence with it. Jacob's smile faded, eyes wide with fear. For a heartbeat, all was still. Then the specter's hand reached out, grasping for Mia, and Sarah felt the ground beneath her crack, splitting reality as she knew it. "Let her go!" Sarah roared, raw fear igniting her limbs. But as if the world responded to her command, the shadows fractured, surrendering a piece of Mia, just a breath, just enough for Sarah to grasp. Mia cried out, shrieking as her grasp slipped. In that fleeting moment, Sarah felt a tug-a-pull of destiny or despair hovering in a precarious balance. Could she pull Mia back? Or were they both bound to the grave that beckoned from the shadows? The specter's eyes glimmered, reflecting back at her. She could feel the veil of despair closing in again, the gateway threatening to swallow everything whole. What was the price of this fight? Would she risk everything for her daughter? The choice lingered in the air, heavy and ominous as the darkness slithered closer, waiting for her decision. But the answer would not come easy. What tormented sacrifice awaited Sarah in the heart of the dark? The ground trembled beneath Sarah's feet, splinters of reality cracking open around her. She could sense the pull of the void, the shadows swirling like hungry predators, desperate for their prey. The specter loomed with an unsettling presence, its hand reaching for Mia, fingers elongated and ghostly. "Please, Mia." Her voice broke, barely a whisper against the tempest. "Come back to me." But her daughter remained tethered to the circle, entranced by the gleaming symbols. Sarah could see the conflicted emotions battling within Mia's eyes. One moment the little girl she knew, the next absorbed by the darkness. The shadows snickered, feeding off her desperation. They swirled eagerly, as if they knew the answer to her unvoiced question. What would it mean to lose Mia? To lose everything? The specter seemed to sense Sarah's indecision, its shadowy form bending and swirling like smoke in the wind. "You can join us. It will be beautiful." The words sank deep into Sarah's mind, intertwining with her fear, and she felt a shudder ripple through her bones. "Mia!" She cried again, a plea laced with fear and sorrow. "Fight it! Don't listen to them!" Mia's face flickered, a mere reflection of her former self, and for an instant, it was unbearable. The specter tightened its grip, pulling Mia toward the dark heart of the circle. A rush of adrenaline surged through Sarah. She wasn't merely battling for her daughter, she was fighting for their lives, their very souls. With every ounce of strength hovering within her, she broke free from the icy grip of despair that held her like a vice. With a primal grunt, she lunged forward, reaching out to Mia. "I love you." The words were raw, infused with every memory, every laugh, every tear. "You're my everything." The connection seemed to shimmer, a thin line of hope in the suffocating darkness. She could feel the warmth of her daughter's spirit calling back to her, a spark igniting in the suffocating night, but then, something shifted. The specter's eyes burned bright, filled with a malevolence that chilled Sarah's blood. "One must be sacrificed for the other," it hissed, the shadows swirling in agreement. They rippled like a living sea of darkness, a wave of despair crashing around Sarah. Mia's expression twisted into fright. "Mom! I don't want to leave." "Then don't!" Sarah shouted, her heart racing, the weight of the specter's pact pressing her down. She could see her daughter's resolve starting to falter as the shadows pulled tighter. "Mom, please." Panic spilled from Mia's lips, echoing in the cavernous space around them. "Trust me. Focus on me." As she spoke, Sarah felt the symbols pulsing beneath her feet, the ancient magic entwined with both terror and hope. But time was pouring away, the specter bore down upon them, its aura darkening, shadows flickering viciously. Heart pounding, she squeezed her eyes shut, drawing upon every memory of joy, laughter, fear, every moment that mattered. The warmth of her daughter's smile, the innocent giggles, the way Mia would lose herself in stories. "In the light, Mia. Remember the light." Light pierced through the darkness like a comet tearing the night sky apart. It blazed briefly, flickering against the oppression of the shadows. With a shuddering breath, Sarah felt the world tremble again. Momentarily, the specter hesitated, its grip loosening. But would it last? Desperation crawled deeper into her mind, searching for a way out, a way to save them both. What if she had to choose her life for her daughter's? In that moment of agonizing clarity, Sarah realized a stark truth: the battle was just beginning. As the shadows pulsed with a deeper wrath, a voice whispered through the chaos, chilling her to the core. "The darkness claims all." The ground quaked beneath her, making the symbols flare with a danger she could sense. What awaited them in this unending struggle? Would she dare surrender her very soul for her daughter? The specter loomed closer, an ominous promise of what horrors lay ahead. The air felt thick, almost suffocating, as Sarah struggled against the fear gripping her heart. The shadows churned with palpable hatred, a cacophony of whispers clawing at her sanity. Each voice echoed tales of despair and loss, promising nothing but darkness if she faltered. "Mia!" she cried, tears streaming down her cheeks. The lustrous symbols at her feet pulsed like angry hearts, and she could feel their power thrumming against her skin. Could it be redirected? Her mind raced, desperately seeking a way through this nightmare. "Mia, please, hold on." The specter's laughter was a cold, sinister sound, reverberating around them. "You think hope will save her? You are bound by love, but I will weave your fears into chains." Every moment felt like an eternity. Sarah felt the tug of despair as the shadows grew longer, creeping toward her like a hungry beast. "You don't know me," she shouted, defiance stirring within. "I won't let you take her." As if irritated by her resolve, the specter lunged, reaching toward Mia with its grotesque fingers. The air cracked with energy, a flash that lit up the dark like lightning. Sarah could see the panic in Mia's eyes as she was pulled further into the glowing symbols, her small body straining against an almost invisible barrier. "Mia!" Sarah reached again, pushing past the fear like a breaking tide. Memories surged, Mia's laughter ringing through the house, the warmth of her soft hand in Sarah's. Each thought amplified her strength, fueling the light shining from her heart. The darkness recoiled, as if it felt the intensity of her love. "Remember, Munchkin. We fight together." As if Sarah's words breathed life into the dying light, the symbols shot bright beams like fireworks, illuminating the surrounding darkness. The specter hissed, twisting its form in anger. "It will not end well for you, foolish mother." Mia's voice trembled, but there was a flicker of the child Sarah cherished. "Mom, I'm scared." "I know, baby, but we're almost there. Trust me." But even as Sarah shouted, she could sense the specter's resolve gathering strength, like a storm brewing. This wasn't just a battle of will, it was a fight for their very souls. It felt like a weight pressing on her, an icy hand clawing at her heart, until something shifted. In a blinding flash, the symbols beneath her began to ignite, ancient runes swirling in colors too vivid for this nightmarish world. Shadows recoiled, screaming into the void as they met the encroaching light. Then it happened. A crack, like thunder, reverberated through the ground. The circle that had held Mia in this entrancing grip began to fracture, lines splintering off and igniting the air with blazing intensity. "Mia, hold on." With one final push, Sarah lunged forward, fingertips barely grazing her daughter's. A shattering roar erupted as the ground erupted. The specter, in its fury, seemed to lose its form, twisting grotesquely, melting into the darkness with every flicker of light. Suddenly, time froze, and the world held its breath. The energy swirled chaotically, and in that moment, Sarah felt a rush of both dread and liberation. But just as quickly as the light surged, it dimmed. Shadows crept back in, thicker and heavier, suffocating the remaining light. The bond they had forged teetered on the edge, like a fragile thread ready to snap. Mia! But her daughter's voice was now swallowed by an echo of despair. The world around them spiraled, the specter's laughter returning, now mocking, infused with a haunting finality. You cannot escape the darkness. It feeds on wishes unfulfilled. The rift between them widened, twisting into an unrecognizable chaos swirling in the void. Sarah's heart raced as she realized she was losing her grip not just on Mia, but on everything she had ever loved. Mom, help me! The plea cut through the darkness, a haunting melody that echoed in space, and in that moment, as despair washed over her in suffocating waves, a dark question formed a shadow on her heart. What if it was too late? What if darkness was already claiming them both? The ground convulsed again, threatening to pull them into the abyss. Would she grasp for her daughter, fighting against the void, or cut the thread of hope before it strangled them both? In the swirling darkness, the specter grinned, knowing the weight of choices. What sacrifice was worth saving someone you loved? Would she have to pay a price that could shatter their world forever? The rift pulsed and convulsed as shadows twisted grotesquely around them. Sarah felt panic surge through her veins, the connections binding her to Mia fraying like old rope under immense pressure. Each desperate cry from her child gnawed at her soul. Mom, please. Could she reach through the darkness? Could she pull her little girl back from the edge? Every thought spiraled into overwhelming fear. The specter danced in the dark, its laughter echoing like shattered glass. You thought you could challenge me? You are nothing but a flickering candle in a raging storm. With a resolve born from the depths of her love, she reached again, heart pounding. Each heartbeat reverberated in the oppressive darkness, a drumbeat of purpose. Mia! Just one more time. Grab my hand. The shadows seemed to thicken, swirling around Mia, absorbing her cries. The symbols that had once burst with radiance were dimming, flickering like a candle on the brink of extinguishment. Sarah's desperation surged. She could not lose her daughter, not like this. Mia! She screamed, summoning every ounce of strength. I am right here. A flash ignited in the corner of her vision. The symbols began to glow once more, but their light was faint, like a dying star. Mia's struggles intensified, tears streamed down her cheeks, pooling on the ground, each drop like a weight dragging her into despair. The specter shifted, its form coiling like smoke, tendrils reaching toward Sarah, exploring the cloud of light she radiated. Foolish mother, your strength feeds me. Your love will become the chains that bind you both. Horror clawed at her throat. The shadows whispered promises of suffering. Your hope is futile, they hissed. You should have accepted your fate. In that moment, clarity struck Sarah. She had been fighting the wrong battle. It wasn't just about battling the specter, or the darkness surrounding them. It was about the love that had unified their spirits. The light pulsing from her heart surged anew, vibrant and determined. Mia! She called out, her breath unsteady. Close your eyes. Remember our days together, our laughter, our games. Focus on that love. Trembling, Mia's eyes glistened as flickers of memories danced in her mind. Sarah could see it, the spark of life igniting within her daughter, fighting against the darkness's grasp. Seizing the moment, Sarah willed her own light to explode outward. Take this, you wretched thing. She thrust her energy into the symbols one last time, cascading light showering down like a waterfall. The specter shrieked, caught off guard as it recoiled from the radiant power. Shadows shattered and splintered, losing their cohesion as Sarah's love became an inferno. Mia, hold on. She shouted, her voice resonating through the chaos, and then, amid the chaos, a figure emerged from the entwined darkness, a flicker of Mia, a light that pushed against the tendrils with unyielding strength. Sarah's heart soared, but terror twisted anew. Would they be pulled apart even now? The ground shuddered violently, making Sarah lose her balance. She reached frantically, a single thread of connection weaving between them as the dark forces clawed to wrench Mia back. "MOM." Mia's voice pierced the darkness, more solid now, more certain. Sarah's heart thundered, pounding against her ribs as icy dread trickled through her. With a final scream, she lunged once more, extending her hand, feeling the barrier between them crack and splinter. But would the light hold? In that instance of suspended terror, as shadows writhed and the specter howled, that question loomed, dark and dreadful, waiting for an answer that might never come. What would it cost them to escape the abyss? Would love be enough to shatter the chains binding them to the darkness? As the final remnants of light flickered dangerously, Sarah could feel the world around them twisting. Was this the end or the beginning? A blinding light erupted between them, engulfing the swirling shadows and pushing back the specter-esque grasp. Sarah felt the warmth radiate from her heart surge into her fingertips, extending toward Mia. The connection was electric, powerful, a lifeline woven of hope. "Mia!" she cried, her voice cutting through the noise like a knife. But the chaos twisted her words, thrumming to the rhythm of the darkness. The ground heaved again, and Sarah staggered, but she would not let go. The shadows were clawing at her now, sharp and insistent, like icy fingers dragging her down. "No!" she bellowed, willing her strength to grow even as it waned. Mia's silhouette spun toward her, trapped within the fractal web of darkness. Tears streamed down her young face, pooling at her feet, shimmering slightly before being absorbed by the hungry darkness. "Mom, please. I can't hold on much longer." Her voice quivered, desperation clawing beneath each syllable. The specter laughed, a terrible sound that reverberated like thunder in the dark. "You think this light can save you? You will consume each other. Love is a weakness, and you will both perish." A jolt of dread coursed through Sarah. Was it true? Would their bonds suffocate them both? But she could see the light of memories deep in Mia's eyes, their laughter, their late-night ice cream, bedtime stories that danced like stars in the gloom. Those moments became her shield, each precious memory pushing the shadows back, igniting new strength inside her. "I won't let you take her," she screamed, forcing her feet into the trembling ground. With each word, she conjured strength from love, amplifying it until the symbols lit up like 1,000 suns brighter than ever before. "No! Stop!" The specter shrieked, recoiling, its form becoming a chaotic mass of shadow and smoke. For a brief moment, Sarah felt hope swelling. Could they escape? But then the ground shattered beneath her, opening a gaping maw. Sarah teetered on the precipice as the darkness surged, a tidal wave of malevolence crashing over the symbols. She lunged again, fingertips grazing the warmth of Mia's light, but the shadows pulled fiercely at the barriers she de-built. "MOM!" Mia's cry was frantic, almost like a plea for mercy. "Help me!" The shadows surged, wrapping around Mia's arms, pulling her down into the black abyss. Sarah's insides twisted with fear. Her heart ached, racing faster as panic squeezed like a vice around her chest. "Let her go!" she screeched, every fiber of her being screaming to protect her child. In a moment of clarity, she saw the truth that the darkness tried to hide. The shadows thrived on despair and fear. If she surrendered to that fear, they would lose. Their love was the greatest weapon against this nightmare. Clenching her teeth, Sarah pushed back against the darkness, flooding her mind with the brightest memories, the warmth of Mia's laugh, the soft squeeze of her small hand. "We can beat this together!" she shouted, her voice echoing, tearing through the chaos. "Mia, you have to fight. Remember us." For an instant, the shadows faltered, recoiling from the brilliance of their bond. Sarah poured every ounce of love and strength into that light, willing it to break through the veil of fear. "MOM!" Mia's voice rang out again, firmer, more defiant. The flicker of her light began to pulse rhythmically, a heartbeat battling against the darkness. But just as hope began to ignite, the specter lashed out with renewed rage, tendrils reaching for Sarah, curling around her. "You cannot escape. You are trapped in this web of your own making." As the shadows tightened, suffocating, Sarah fought harder, determined to maintain that fragile connection. And then everything screamed to a halt. The rift splintered, and silence enveloped them, thick and suffocating. Time stood still. Was it victory? Or was it a moment of false hope, a deceptive pause before even darker horrors unfurled? What lay ahead in this uncanny darkness? Would they triumph, or was there something more sinister lurking, just out of reach? The stillness pressed in on Sarah, wrapping around her like a shroud. She could barely breathe, her heart thundering against her ribs. Somewhere, in that suffocating silence, Mia's light flickered, a heartbeat caught in the void, demanding her attention. "Mia!" Sarah called, desperation choking her voice. But no answer came. Only the oppressive silence hung in the air. As the tension built, a low rumble echoed below, crackling like thunder, shaking the very foundations of their reality. The specter's laughter erupted again, a chilling sound that split the eerie calm. "You think you can hold darkness at bay? It lurks in the corners of your mind, waiting, and as if on cue, memories that Sarah thought were tucked away burst forth, shadows from forgotten nights, the weight of guilt and sorrow pressing against her heart. Fear glided under her skin, making her tremble. "What have you done?" The specter hissed, its voice a hiss like the rustling of dead leaves. "Your love cannot protect you from itself. You are the architect of your despair." With seconds slipping away, Sarah fought back against the memories clawing at her. She reached for the dying light that pulsed from Mia, a beacon she could not let go of. "Mia! Come back to me. Remember the stories we shared? Remember the light?" In that moment of desperate connection, a flicker of hope ignited in the darkness. The shadows momentarily retreated, twisting away from the power of love that fueled their bond. Sarah felt a rush. Was she regaining control? But it was too fleeting. The ground groaned beneath her, and the shadows recoiled, trailing back. The specter's form shifted. "You think the darkness is afraid? It revels in your weaknesses, drawing strength from your fears." Suddenly, the ground below erupted, splitting open with a bone-rattling roar. Maw of darkness yawned beneath them, pulling everything into its depths. "Mom! Help!" Mia's voice was crystal clear yet distant, like an echo of a bygone dream. The connection twisted in Sarah's chest, each beat woven with dread. "No!" Sarah screamed, lunging forward, reaching out to grasp Mia's light, now fading like a candle caught in a storm. The suffocating shadows enveloped her, red and blue flashes sparking in her periphery like a waning star. "Mia, hold on to me!" she cried, fighting the pull that threatened to drown them both. Clenching her teeth, she thrust her will into the light, channeling every loving moment they'd shared. In that chaotic swirl of hope and despair, an unsettling chill embraced Sarah, wrapping around her throat, cutting off her breath. She felt it slithering, whispering, luring her deeper into darkness. A sickening sensation clawed at her mind. Was this really happening, or was she hallucinating, trapped within her own dread? "Mia!" she shouted again, panic surging, pulsing like a drum in her ear. "You are not alone. Fight with me." But as the shadows tightened their grip, the tendrils began to squeeze the breath from her lungs, and the light flickered, wavering. Sarah's heart sank. What if that connection faded, leaving them both adrift in the endless night? The specter cackled, its form swirling and merging with the darkness. "Your love will be your downfall, Sarah. It will consume you both." In one desperate, instinctive act, Sarah tightened her grip on Mia's light, pulling it up to the surface, forcing back the darkness with sheer will. It was a battle between hope and despair, an unending tug-of-war where one would overshadow the other, but as the light surged forth, a chilling realization struck her: the darkness wasn't just a void. It was conscious, aware it was feeding off their fear, growing stronger with every second of doubt. Sarah's pulse raced even faster. What would happen if they lost? Would they succumb to the dark forever? Would love, their greatest weapon, become the very thing that tore them apart? Then, from the shadows, a new voice drifted through the air, soft, taunting, familiar. "Why do you fight so hard for her, Sarah? Can you truly save her, when you cannot save yourself?" The specter's words coiled around Sarah's mind, dredging up the deepest, darkest fears, and she felt the foundation of her courage quake. Was it a trick? Or was there a grain of truth buried within the taunt? How could they hope to escape the darkness when it knew them so well? The light wavered again, and the shadows rushed forward, hungry as ever. Where would this harrowing descent lead them? Would they break free, or would the embrace of darkness be their final resting place? The darkness clawed at the edges of Sarah's mind, unraveling her thoughts one by one. The taunting voice echoed, wrapping around her like a serpent. You can't save her, Sarah. You're just prolonging the inevitable. She shook her head, banishing the words as best she could, fighting the grip of despair. The last remnants of Mia's light pulsated in her grasp, but it dimmed with every second the shadows pressed in. No, I won't let you take her. Sarah roared, her voice cracking under the weight of fear and fury. The shadows recoiled, but not far. They danced close, hissing, whispering vile secrets that prodded at Sarah's vulnerabilities. Here, in this battleground of light and dark, her mistakes turned into daggers that pierced her resolve. Memories of failure, of moments where she hadn't protected her daughter, streaked across her mind like lightning. Each one felt real, heavier than a stone. Do you remember the first time you lost her? The specter cooed, its voice syrupy sweet yet laced with malice. When you allowed her to wander alone? She never forgot. The darkness has held on to that just like you. Another crack rang through the air, and the ground trembled beneath her feet. Sarah felt it. Mia's fading light connected to the throbbing darkness surrounding them. Was it too late? Would her daughter be consumed before her eyes? Mia! She shouted, desperation spilling over. Come back. Fight with me. For a fleeting moment, she could almost hear Mia's heartbeat sinking with the flicker of light beside her. But then, a piercing laughter shattered the stillness. The specter swelled, its form twisting into grotesque shapes, feeding off the tears that began to pool in Sarah's eyes. Why don't you face the truth? It hissed, sinister delight dancing in its tone. You are not the hero you think you are. You are the reason she is here. You called to the darkness. No, Sarah said, more to herself than it. I've fought, I will fight. I won't let you take her. As if summoned by her defiance, shadows lunged forward, filling the space with a thick chill. The air turned icy, each breath becoming a labor. Sarah felt tendrils creeping around her limbs, seeking a hold. She swatted at them, struggling, but the darkness was slippery, like smoke. Let go, Sarah. Let go, and I can promise you release, the specter lured, its tone now a whisper, slithering into her ears. Join us, be free from the burden of love. You'll never win against the inevitable. Pain knotted in her chest. She was torn between wanting to release her fear and the sheer horror of losing Mia. The shadows tugged at her, each whisper promising escape from the torment of indecision. With a roar, Sarah seized Mia's flickering light. She poured everything, the memories, the love, the guilt into it, letting it surge outward. No! You have no power here. She yelled, the words an invocation of defiance. In response, the shadows howled, a terrible sound that resonated through the remnants of the ground beneath them. The dark shrieked and swirled in agony, recoiling as if burned. Yet, the retreat was only momentary. It surged back violently, crashing against her will like a tidal wave. Suddenly, Sarah felt a sharp pain in her chest. A whisper had seeped into her thoughts, a seed of doubt that curled like smoke from a dying flame. You think love can save you? Think again. Struggling against the scream rising in her throat, Sarah closed her eyes for a brief moment. Mia, my sweet girl, I am here. Just then, a flicker, a brighter flame sparked to life, shooting out and illuminating the dark. The shadows hesitated, faltering before the brilliance of their connection. But as they wavered, the specter lashed out with fury, the force of it knocking Sarah off her feet. She landed hard, gasping as a wave of darkness threatened to smother her. M.O.M. Help! Mia's voice echoed again, more urgent, a cry filled with panic that struck deep within Sarah. As shadows loomed, ready to engulf them, a terrifying thought crystallized. What if Sarah's connection to Mia was the very thing the darkness craved? The realization sent a jolt of fear down her spine. Was she the final key, unlocking a fate they could not escape? With her heart racing, Sarah reached for Mia's light again, but fear dripped from the edges of her soul, threatening to pull her away. Would she break out, or would the darkness consume what was left of their bond? As the shadows closed in for the kill, a singular question burrowed into her mind: was love enough, or was it their undoing? A thunderous crash echoed through the room as the ground quaked beneath Sarah's feet. Shadows writhed like vengeful vipers, ready to strike. Mia! The word exploded from her lips, an urgent rallying cry. She could feel the icy grip of despair pulling at her heart, but she fought back each time it threatened to overwhelm her. Mia was still in the swirling chaos, her light flickering but persistent. She was there, her laughter, her love, everything they cherished together surged through Sarah. With every ounce of strength both knew she possessed, Sarah summoned their memories, their road trips, the laughter over family dinners, the quiet moments reading stories under soft lamplight. Each radiant memory became a shield against the darkness clawing at her soul. And no, please. Mom! Mia's voice quivered, resonating through the shadows. The specter laughed, the sound grotesque, twisting their bond into a mockery. You are powerless against it. It exuded confidence, but Sarah felt something inside her shift. Love is our weapon. She shouted, not just to the specter but to the shadows themselves. I will break you. Bursting with defiance, she thrust her light forward, focusing on the glow that continued to pulse from Mia. The symbols beneath her glowed brighter, illuminating the room like 1,000 suns. Shadows hissed, recoiling from the brilliance Sarah had summoned, but they regrouped, a swirling mass of fury, determined to maintain their hold. The connection between them felt electric. Mia! Hold on tight. Sarah pressed every ounce of love, every memory shared, into the glowing symbol. It erupted in sparkles, scattering light in every direction, momentarily pushing the darkness back. The specter screeched, its form distorting, fraying at the seams as if the very foundation of its existence teetered. Together, they fought against the encroaching void, binding their hearts and souls into a bright tapestry of what truly mattered. We can do this! Sarah urged, her voice filled with fierce determination. Mom, I can feel you. Mia cried, the warmth of her spirit glistening brighter amidst swirling shadows. Together! Shockwaves rippled through the air as they connected, their energy merging into a beacon that reached beyond the darkness suffocating them. With one thrust of unyielding resolve, Sarah focused on driving the light deep into the heart of the swirling shadows. Let go of her. She belongs with me. Sarah roared, a challenge that reverberated like thunder. As the shadows pressed in, a rift opened, revealing the spectre's true form, an abyss of despair threatening to consume everything in its path. No! The specter howled, thrashing against the radiant light that surrounded Sarah and Mia. You'll never defeat me. But they already had their bond, rooted in love, surged to life with an intensity that made the darkness shriek. The rift began to engulf the spectral form, light piercing through like daggers, unraveling the very fabric of the spectre's being. It writhed and twisted, a cacophony of terror and rage mixing in the air. I love you, Mia. Sarah shouted one last time. It resonated, vibrating with an energy that could break even the darkest of chains. Mom, I love you. Mia's voice mingled with Sarah's, strengthening the divine light. With one final eruption, they joined forces, the light bursting forth in a dazzling display. Shadows danced, flickered, and finally exploded into a sea of nothingness, dissipating into the corners of their stricken reality. Silence enveloped the space. The air felt lighter, a gentle breeze washing over Sarah's weary body. She opened her eyes, searching for Mia. Mom? A fragile voice called, and there she was, standing amidst the remnants of the fading darkness, the light of their love shimmering all around her. Mia! Sarah rushed forward, enveloping her daughter in a fierce embrace. You're safe. We did it. Trembling, with tears of relief spilling down her cheeks, Mia clung to Sarah. I thought I lost you. And in that moment, the weight of the curse lifted, leaving behind nothing but echoes of shadows and the promise of a new beginning. As dawn broke, light poured into the room, banishing the last remnants of darkness. The house felt different now, lighter, freer. The neighbors were gone, the town's haunting whispers faded, replaced by a warm reassurance. The lingering echoes of the danger they had faced were now mere shadows in the past. Together they emerged from their house, hand in hand, leaving the haunted memories behind. Sarah turned and looked back one last time, a heavy breath escaping her lips. They had fought together and won, and now the town seemed alive, colors blooming against the remnants of their fears. "We're free," Mia whispered, her eyes gleaming in the soft sunlight. "Yes," Sarah vowed, squeezing Mia's hand tighter. "And we will never be apart again." As they walked toward their new beginning, Sarah realized they had forged an unbreakable bond, a testament to the power of love against the deepest of darkness. For every story that blooms in the light, we too must weave our own. Make sure to take that step, savor every moment, and protect those you love fiercely. If you enjoyed their story, you need to subscribe now so you don't miss amazing tales that push the boundaries of what we know. Smash that like button so the algorithm can connect with others who crave these experiences. Don't wait even one more second, flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about what is to come. And share this video with at least 5 friends who need this ending in their lives. Their journey inspires us all. We create better stories together.